Good morning, everyone. Welcome to part 3 of 20 of our new Project 2020 Artie series. Today, we're going to tackle Blake Jamieson. We're going to talk about his first 10 cards, rank him 10 to 1. And the great thing is Blake Jamieson will join us on this episode. So let's get to all that right now. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Chris, otherwise known as @CRT_Sportscards on Twitter and Instagram. And if you want to visit the best website for Project 2020, it's my website, CRTSportscards.com. So as I said in the beginning, this is part number 3 of 20 of our new artist series. In part 1, we talked about Ermsy. In part 2, we talked about Thiele. So check out those videos on my channel. I have them linked in the description below. Today, we're talking Blake Jamieson. We're talking his first 10 cards of Project 2020. At this moment, he has just released his 11th card, the Ken Griffey Jr. So we're going to talk about that card with Blake. We're going to talk about his perspective of the set overall. And then we're going to break down all of his cards 10 through 1, where I talk about my favorite card of Blake Jamieson. Now, before we get to Blake's first 10 cards in Project 2020, if you want to stay up to date with Project 2020 here on YouTube, hit that subscribe button. I deliver you a video 2 times a week, one on Sunday and one on Thursday, and it's the best way to stay up to date on the series. And then when I put up my next artist series video, you are notified the moment that video goes up. So please hit that subscribe button. But now let's get to Blake's first 10 cards in Project 2020. Blake's first card in Project 2020 was Nolan Ryan. He followed it up with Don Mattingly, Jackie Robinson, Ricky Henderson, Mark McGuire. Then we have Mike Trout, Mariano, Willie Mays, Ichiro, and then that Ted Williams. Now, when you look at his print runs, they look very much like the overall print run chart for the set. His first 3 cards, all right there in the middle 2000 range. His top card was Jackie Robinson, 2009-80. Then he spikes a bit with the Ricky Henderson. That's the Jamieson Ermsy line, 3.8 thousand. And then he gets to 81 and 100. 81, Mark McGuire, 18,000, and then we all know card 100, 75,000, and then back to normal when it comes to 117, then all the way down to 189. His most recent card was Ted Williams, which came in at a print run of 4,684. Thank you for joining the show. I greatly appreciate it.
Absolutely, man. Thanks for having me.
And by the way, congrats on Project 2020 so far. You've just put out your 11th card. You've sold 130,000 cards so far to date in Project 2020. When you think back to where this project was, 4 months ago to where it is now, what's your thought process? What did you think it was going to be, and where do you think it is now in a sense?
Yeah. Well, going into the project, I didn't really know what to expect, and I would rather have low expectations and then see great results than, be disappointed. And so, I mean, I got to be honest, when I started the project, before I produced any cards, in my head, I'd convinced myself that like a low print run would be 200 cards and a high print run would be 2,000 cards.
Yeah.
And so I was hoping, that my Griffey and my Trout and my Jeter would hit 2K and, the other ones would do all right. So from that sense, it's by far exceeded my expectations. And then there were a lot of things about the project, like benefits, that I didn't anticipate. And now it's easy looking back to say, oh, I should have seen this coming. But, connecting with the hobby community has been the highlight for me of the whole project. I grew up a card collector. I was out of the hobby for decades and now back in it, and I'm very happy to be here. The other thing that surprised me is the relationships with the other artists, which I think has been awesome. So when the project started, I didn't know who the other artists were.
Okay.
Topps didn't tell us basically until it was publicly announced to everyone. That's when I found out. And so I've made an effort to try and build relationships with some of the other artists and would love to connect with all of them eventually.
Mm-hmm.
And that's been like a really fun part of the process. And I think that like a lot of those guys, Gregory Siff, F. Dot,
Mm-hmm.
Sophia Chang, JK5, like these guys that I talk to, guys and girl. And I plan to keep doing that after the project is over. And so it's always fun to have other artist friends. Honestly, I know other artists for sure, but like I wasn't as close to many artists as I am now to some of those guys.
Yeah, that makes sense. Now, couple questions here. When you think about the other artists in the set, the 19, is there an artist that you really look forward to seeing their cards? So like maybe you're number 2 or number 3, or you just look forward to all of them in a sense?
Sure. Yeah, I mean, I look forward to all of them. I think that Topps did such a good job curating a very diverse group of like artistic styles.
Mm-hmm.
And so everyone's card, it's fun now because in art, it's important to like just develop your style and develop your brand to the point where like if somebody that's familiar with you sees your work, they know it's your work.
Correct.
Now at a point with everyone hitting their 10th, 11th card, every time a card comes out, you don't have to look and see who it's by.
Correct.
And so that's fun to like be able to see everything and recognize it. In terms of like the ones I look forward to the most, so Gregory Siff is an artist that I had admired for years before the project.
Okay.
And I'd actually reached out to him multiple times, but wasn't able to connect until this project. And so that's now kind of helped us establish a friendship and relationship. So I would say like, if I had to pick a favorite, I really enjoy King Saladin's work a lot. Always looking forward to his cards. Also, like, there's artists that are growing on me too. I mean, I like and respect all the artists and love what they're doing. But like, for example, the Don C card that just dropped with my Ken Griffey card, I think is my favorite Don C card. And like that card alone makes me very excited to see where he continues to go. I think that like, you can look at any artist card starting at number 1 and getting to number 11. And I can at least like see evolution. Right. Because, and there are a couple artists that probably did all their cards in advance. And so you don't necessarily get that.
Yeah.
That's fine. But I'd say most of the artists, you can literally from the 1st to the 11th card, I can see the artist's kind of mind changing and art evolving. And that's like a really fun process to see. So in that sense, like every card that comes out, I'm excited because I want to see, what the artist has done to like push their own boundaries. So for example, like the Fucci that just came out with the Nolan Ryan, where you kind of have the face that's obscured by spray paint. I think that's really fun. And it was totally shaking things up from what he'd done in the past. And I mean, that's just super fun to see from an artist perspective.
Yeah, and I think on the progression perspective, Gregory Siff is something for myself. When I saw his first couple of cards, I didn't really understand what was going on. And then by the 4th and 5th card, I'm like, I really get what he's doing, and I really, really like these cards overall. But yeah, that progression has been really nice to see. Now, when you think of Project 2020 from the artist perspective, you are the face of Project 2020. Like you are the artist, you're the guy. When you did this from day one, was that your plan? I mean, I know you've talked about on blowout forums that I'm going to pump everything I sell. That's just me. That's what I do. Was that your goal from day one to come out of the gates and be the lead dog? Be the guy out there the most?
No, not at all, honestly. And I mean, I appreciate you saying that. I'm glad that, if you see it that way, I don't necessarily see it that way on the face. I'm trying to set the tone, and every artist is going to do how promote or market or build their brand however they like. And that's totally their choice. But I think that part of the reason that some of my print runs have been high, or some of the demand for artist autos, or any of the interest that I've gotten, I think is at least in part due to community engagement. And if I had just been kind of behind the scenes and quiet, I don't think I would have been as quote unquote successful, depending on what you're measuring. Right. And so I look at it as I'm trying, like I said on Blowout, I'm always going to promote my own stuff. You have to. I think you have to as an artist. I have to. I didn't go to art school. I don't have the formal training, so I need to rely on my skill set, which is marketing. And so I think that like by putting myself out there and, being the face, if that's what you want to call it, isn't necessarily me trying to like take the spotlight. It's trying to like show other artists like ways that you can incorporate the hobby community. And if people do it, then that helps, the business. I want every artist to be super successful. I wish that all of them, including myself, was even more engaged and had more hours in the day, because, there's plenty of other things like Discord groups I haven't gotten into. I think there's a huge opportunity there. I know that Sophia is doing a Discord group, but not even necessarily a personal one, like joining other people's groups and just being part of the conversation. Like I have been on Blowout, a little bit on Facebook. I don't really use Facebook that much. And so it's like hard for me to like get in that routine, but yeah, I mean, I'm just putting myself out there to like try and get my art into more homes, and B, try and show other artists ways that they could, get involved with the community itself.
Yeah, no, that makes sense, because like when on my regular shows, I ask collectors to send me their photos of their collections, and if there's one artist I get the most of, it's always your collection. And it's like, how do I find other artists? Because to your point, there are some artists out there, like I collect Grotesque, for example, and there are very few artists, or very few people out there collecting him in a sense. But then for you, everybody's sending me Jamieson photos, and it's like, how do I mix and match without putting you in every single, or their collection in every single video? So
yeah, that's awesome. I mean, I love to hear that. I definitely think, and that's like a very tangible benefit of going out and just being part of the conversation, being nice to people, you know, fixing mistakes, whether I made them or Tops made them, or you know, anything I can do to like help somebody.
Yeah.
And I know, because people have told me, said, oh, that was so cool of you to do. I'm going to collect everything now of yours. And like, that's great.
Yeah. And I think, look, at the end of the day, Tops's, you know, success with this is now their Achilles heel, right? We sold so many cards and everything's been so successful that now we're just so far behind. So it's like positive and negative where we are at the moment. But it seems like they're catching up, which is good to see.
Definitely. I mean, I got my Trout card a week and a half ago or something like that, and I got my Mariano Rivera card yesterday.
Oh, nice.
So, and those cards were spaced at least 2 weeks apart, right, when I released them. And so they are making up ground now in, you know, the second half of August, which is great. And they're you know, I've talked to Jeff Heckman, the leader of the project over at Tops. They're sitting on like somewhere around 1 million cases, you know.
That's good.
Which should be enough to get them through everything.
Hopefully.
You know, hopefully. Well, I mean, it depends. I would love to see print runs go up again.
Correct.
But I'm also not that hung up on print runs, to be honest. Much less so now than I used to be. Just my perspective a little bit has changed, and I'm sure we'll kind of get into that because we'll talk about some print run stuff. But
I think, I mean, I've always said a couple months ago, this is going to be the toughest time of the set. The August, you know, I thought it because we'd be opening back up more baseball, more sports. It's sort of a weird sort of quandary right now where we are with the market overall. But when you think about your cards in general, you know, some of the artists have really taken some stands, whether it be socially or current time. You think of F. Dot's Mask, you think of Grotesque Jackie Robinson. Your cards outside of your fanny pack Mariano has pretty much stayed just in tune with the card itself. Is there a reason why you haven't sort of taken that leap, maybe not a leap, but maybe taken a step forward with your cards?
Yeah, that's a great question, to be honest. I think I love what F. Dot did with the mask on Doc, and it makes sense because of where the world's at when all this set was happening. I think that's going to be a fun piece to look back on in 10, 20, 30 years and, you know, remember that. I also think, you know, with the nickname Doc, like obviously it makes sense to have, you know, have the surgical mask. And so that made a lot of sense, but it's like, well, that's been done. I'm not going to go and put a mask on someone because that's been done. Right.
Correct.
I know that, and it's like subtle, but like Ben Baller's Cal Ripken card had the blacked out background for like, which was right around the Blackout Tuesday. So yeah, I mean, I think that it's great when artists can use their platform to make a statement, whether it be like, you know, about, could be politics, could be human rights, could be, you know, could be anything. I haven't done a lot of political or I guess like polarizing work in that sense. And it's not because I don't have, you know, have views that I want to share. I just haven't found like a good way to incorporate it into the art where it still feels like I'm not just trying to push my own agenda. And I'm not saying that those artists are, because I think that they did it in a really seamless way. I just think that, you know, my priorities are making cards that kind of pay tribute to the original card. And then also making cards that when you put all of my cards together, they're going to look nice as a complete set of 20. And so those are kind of my two focuses. And, you know, if there is a time, for example, I have, you know, toyed with the idea of doing like a breast cancer awareness thing in October. I just did pink with Griffey. There would definitely be pink incorporated if I did that. Because I know that also like a lot of the players on the list have had different experiences or tragedies because of cancer. And so I think that there's a lot of players that could fit that, and maybe I can tie it in. So like, that's something that, granted, it's not, you know, it's not like a social justice issue or political issue or something like that, but it is, you know, it's an important thing. So we'll see. That might be something that I do, but I'm not dead set on doing that. Like I said, the two priorities are just kind of honoring the original card and making my own set.
When you think of the next 9 cards you have, I mean, it's like 4 months away from now, but what is there a card you're looking forward to of the next 9?
I'm looking forward to all of them. I mean, every card has been fun in its own way. When I first got, you know, the 20 cards, there were some that I kind of were like looking at like, I don't know what I'm going to do with this one. But as we've gone through and we're past the halfway point, I feel like I've got a good rhythm and I have ideas for pretty much every card that's left. I think the Jeter is going to be fun. You know, anytime you get to do one of the big guys, you know, Griffey, Trout, Jeter, that's always a fun thing. So if I had to pick a single one I'm looking forward to, I think that's it.
Sure. Now I'm big on numbering of the set. When you think of a flagship series, right? You know, card number 1, card number 100, 200. You know, Beck had 200 with Jeter. You had 100 with Mike Trout, and you also then kind of gave up sort of some of the naming because Ben Baller collaborated with you on that card. Are you going to be able to get with him on a card, or are you trying to not angle on one of his cards, or are you trying to get your name on another card because he kind of has 20 plus 1 at the moment, and you'll have 20 in a sense?
Sure. No, I don't think so.
Okay.
And I'm not really concerned about it. I think that like the fact that that card got number 100 was really cool. I knew that that was going to be an important card in the set. And, you know, Ben offered to do his thing. And when Ben Baller offers you to collaborate, you know, you say yes. So I think that it's fun that that's like the one collaboration of the series. And I would love it if it stays that way. But I can't stop other artists from doing that too. So like, I'm definitely not seeking out other collaborations within the scope of the project. I do enjoy working with other artists on projects. Like F. and I did a Blob Ruth, which was his Blob character combined with my Babe Ruth stencil that we made, I guess that was just last week or the week before.
Yeah, it was here recently.
Yeah. And so that was super fun. Like I would love to do more stuff like that with more artists. But in terms of like sharing the spotlight on the Trout card, I don't care, man. It's a super fun thing. And if it stands out because it's the one that like 2 artists worked on, like I don't mind sharing that with Ben at all.
Yeah, that makes sense. Now, when you stream every night, right? I don't watch them all the time, but is it Monday through every day or only 5 days?
Monday through Friday.
Monday through Friday. Okay.
It started out as 7 days a week, and eventually I decided that I need a little bit of a break.
Yeah.
And so I'm taking the weekends off now.
I follow you there on taking a day off of YouTube. So when you show us your process a lot, which I really enjoy the process more than the result because it shows the thought process and the work. When you were working the card from start to finish, when you get to that finished product, are you bouncing the card off anybody in your group, or are you just going with it from start to finish and you're putting the card out?
It depends on the card. If you look at like the Mark McGwire card, which is my favorite because of my history and idolizing Mark McGwire growing up, that card was just me. I had the vision. I knew exactly what I wanted to do. And so I executed it, and I did it kind of in a vacuum. If you look at a lot of my other cards, they are evolved through feedback from fans, feedback from my internal team. There's a group chat on Instagram with about half of the artists from Project 2020 where Will Share works. You know, I'm very close with Gregory Siff. He's usually one of the first artists to see my work.
Okay.
And so, you know, and honestly, like the Ben Baller collab happened because I sent Ben Baller my card before it was done. And I said, like, it's close, but I don't feel like it's there yet. And he's like, I have an idea. Do you trust me? Basically. I'm like, yeah, man, let's do it. So yeah, I mean, it depends. I think that it's fun when I can incorporate the actual like end customers, the hobby collectors, because, you know, when you get, you know, even like if you look at my Ricky Henderson, I did 2 versions of Ricky. They were very similar, but one was yellow and one was green background. And putting that up to a vote on Twitter and on Blowout and on different social media outlets, you know, a lot of people voted, and it was actually ended up being very close. But like, I think that when people feel like they're part of that process, they're more invested in the project and they're going to be more likely to buy the card. And, you know, that helps me get art into more homes. So when I can make it a collaboration, I try to.
Yeah, that makes sense. Now, when you think about the Griffey that just released this past week, and there are a couple of things that you had made mention of a few months ago, and you said that, look, if an artist, you know, beats you to the backwards hat, you may not put it in the artist in your piece of artwork. I know Cartoon did it. I was not a big fan of the Cartoon hat. I think it was a little high on his head. I do like your hat because it's on his head, it seems like. But was there any discussion on just the backwards hat of changing it after you saw Cartoon's Griffey?
Honestly, not really. I had considered it. I really did want to be the first.
Yeah.
And I think that I think it came out really cool. I didn't actually even design the backwards hat, finished stencil until after Cartoons had come out. So like I had a chance to say, oh, we're just going to leave it as is. But I did the Griffey, the first version with the forwards hat, pretty early in the project on a live stream, and people enjoyed it, but it also had been like out on the interwebs for months now. So like I wanted to put out something that was fresh. And so that was like another motivation. The other thing that I knew I wanted to add was the necklace from showing, at least from the Upper Deck rookie. I believe in the Topps card, he's wearing it. It's just tucked into his shirt. I just wanted to kind of pull it out and put it more visible.
Yeah.
That's like a detail that a lot of people have missed until I pointed out. And then when they look at it, they're like, oh, actually, that's super cool. And then in terms of the background, like I was thinking like bubblegum pink for a few reasons. Like he chewed a lot of bubblegum. There were even a time when I was thinking of doing like him blowing a bubble.
Oh yeah.
Which I think could have been fun.
Yeah.
But decided to go with the bubblegum pink bright background because I also, like I said, thinking about what I want to accomplish, part of it is mine looking good as a set. But I think like with Griffey, a lot of people are going to do full sets of Griffey. And so like I would love mine to like stand out within that set. And so there's some other pink background Griffies, like Fucci's actually is really cool. But it's a little bit more of like a muted pink with some clouds, and mine's just like in your face bright pink. So I'm hoping that like when people have a display of 20 Griffey cards and somebody else that hasn't seen the set comes up, they're like eyes drawn to mine. And I hadn't really thought about that designing for like standing out within player sets until this Griffey card, but I think it's going to do the job.
Yeah, no, the one thing that I noticed immediately was the necklace, because the Fucci is the only one with the necklace, but it's hidden behind and no one else has it. And that's sort of a distinct feature of the 89 card. And so you took that and you made it, that's what I like the most about the card. Now, from the pink perspective, it was just about bubblegum. That was the only thing about.
Well, it was bubblegum, and like I said, like trying to make mine pop in the set of all 20.
Okay.
And so like I looked at all of the ones that have been thus far, and like I said, Fucci has a pink background, but it's also a little bit more muted, and it has like pretty big clouds and stuff. Like I think, and honestly, like you do the best job of aggregating photos of player sets and and artist sets, and so I think that I think it's going to look really nice in the artist set.
Yeah, and it will stand out because it's the middle card. So if anyone does 20 in a row or 10 and 10, that middle card is pink. It's like a red light, or just a flashlight on it, which is really, really cool.
Totally.
Now, when you think of Cartoon doing the backwards hat and then Fucci put out pink, those were probably your two ideas for a while now. I mean, were you sort of not dismayed is the wrong word here, but were you sort of a little frustrated that maybe two artists got ahead of you on this card in the sense where you could have really stood out, and now you're like, wow, now it's like a little bit
not really. I think that the pink thing honestly was a pretty last minute decision, and I went back and I looked on your site to see all the Griffey set, and I saw that there was some pink in there, but nothing like kind of I had an idea for.
Yeah.
So that literally, like I did that pink backgrounds 2 days before the card dropped or something, like because I submitted the card like the day before. So that was like, I wasn't worried when I saw pink background on Fuji's card, because I wasn't even really, that wasn't in my head yet.
Got it.
And then the backwards hat, like, I guess I was like a little bit like, oh man, I wanted to be the first. But like at the same time, like Cartoon and I, like I mentioned, everyone has very different styles, and like his is very different. He drew a picture of Griffey, that almost looks like a tattoo. So, I don't know. It's cool. I also I was pretty vocal about wanting to do a backwards hat from early podcast interviews and early, streams and stuff. And I was dropping hints about it for a long time. And so like I'm not worried if people are like, oh, he just copied Cartoon to do a backwards hat. Like I've been thinking about it for a while, and I don't need other people to know that. I don't really care. I just know, like personally, I know that like, I'm glad that Cartoon came up with the idea. I think it's a great idea. Just like, I think it's a cool idea on my card. So
yeah. Now, when you're designing these cards and you're giving them the tops, and I think Ermsy is an artist who really pushes the boundary from what we expected, and that's kind of when we saw that first Trout, we're like, what is this? Like, what's going on? Mm-hmm. How far can you push the envelope with these cards with tops before they say, yeah, that's not going to work?
Yeah, haven't found out yet.
Okay.
But also, I have my own style and the way that I make my art, and like it's not like Ermsy where it's gonna make people be like, oh my gosh, what did he do? Like, I don't understand. Which is fine, which is great. Ermsy's work is phenomenal. I love it. And that Trout inspired me to, within the scope of my own art practice, like put my own boundaries, because I saw that card when Topps came and did like a studio visit. They were doing an interview and they were filming me create my first card, Nolan Ryan. And they showed me that card, and that card alone made me go back to the drawing board and redo Ryan from scratch because I wanted to push my own boundaries. And pushing my own boundaries still stays within a bubble that Topps is like, yeah, that's basically what we, they're fine with it. They expect. The one thing that they made me change ever was my Mark McGuire card, which I did the Team USA jersey and flag. I had originally put number 41 on the back of the jersey, which was his number on Team USA. They made me change it to 25, which is number on the A's. So that was the only thing. And honestly, that was like, it is what it is. It would have been fun to keep it as 41, but it's important to me to make Topps happy because I hope that this is the first of many projects that I work with them on. So, I'm going to do whatever they ask me to do, I will do it.
Yeah, that makes sense because, Tyson Beck has his own cards in Topps Fire, so it's a retail exclusive. So yeah, any way you can angle in a sense to be in more projects, better off for you at the end of the day. Mm-hmm. Now, when we look at your first 10 cards, and we'll break them down. Maybe I'm going to take 7 through 10 as just one group, and as maybe the 4 less appealing to me in a sense, or the visually, and then we'll go to number 1. Okay. On my top 10 list here, basically from the bottom here, right, from 10 to 9. So I have Willie Mays, I have Mariano Rivera, I have Ichiro, which pains me to say that, but it's Ichiro, and then it's the Jackie Robinson. And by the way, Tony, thank you for sending me the Jackie Robinson. You guys sent me that for free, so I appreciate that.
So these are these rankings are for what? The cards that came out this week?
No. These are your 10 cards. I'm just sort of ranking them sort of like what I like from 10 to 1, but I'm not picking a 10th card. I'm just saying these 4 in the bottom.
Okay.
And then I'm going 6, 5, 4. 3.
I understand. Okay, so Mays, Ichiro,
Rivera.
Okay.
Yeah, and then Jackie.
And the Jackie.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's fine. I think the other ones are awesome. So, I mean, I think they're all awesome. It's kind of like, if you have a bunch of kids, you try and pick your least favorite kid. Like,
of course.
It's tough to do that. So I really like the Willie.
Okay.
I thought the Willie was strong. I think that the Mo card is a challenge because of, just the card itself. And it's been, but that's fun. Like that one going into it, like was one of the cards that I mentioned of like, I don't know what I'm going to do with this card. Mm-hmm. So, in my spirit of trying to stay true to the original card, I didn't want to like use a different photo of him, even though Topps has now told me that if I wanted to, I could.
Yeah.
So, I just tried my best to work within the scope of that. And, kind of a Sandman type of reference. I used like a Metallica inspired font and put New York on his shirt. Yeah. And then the fanny pack on him was, partially because if you look at like that era of like the early 90s, like people were rocking fanny packs and it made sense. It's also when I released my fanny pack. And so like, I just thought it was a fun, kind of Easter egg thing. So I don't know. It makes sense. I did just get those cards in hand. I think that they do look really cool. And something that's fun about that kind of card, and actually same with the Jackie, same with the Willie. Yeah. Is I don't have a clean edge, like a border, like I did on Trout. So like the centering is a non-issue because it's all true. Right? And it's all kind of, it's like, it's fluid. Yeah. And so that's nice because the Trout centering, as you've probably seen online, was not ideal, I guess. Yeah. So that's cool. I do think that the Mariano does look good in hand. Yeah. So I was really pleased with that, and I'm excited to get the Willie Mays would be next.
Yeah. Now on the 6th card for me is going to be the Mike Trout itself. I can't stand Mike Trout because he kills us in Seattle every single game, it seems like. And so, but I do like the card. I think it looks better in hand than it actually did on the screen itself. But for me, that was the 6th card. I do actually, let's go back to the Mariano in a sense. It is a very difficult card to work on. I mean, there's not much there. And I guess I was surprised to see, Ben Baller, for example, take it with a different photo in a sense. That really surprised me that he did that with a different card in a sense.
Yeah. And then on the Jackie too. Yeah. I wish that I did a second Jackie recently as a commission that was the 1953.
Yes.
I don't know if you saw that on any posting. Like, I think that came out so cool. I think that one's nicer than the Jackie card I put out for Topps. I wish that I could have used the other one, but living there.
Yeah. Yeah. On the, I guess maybe the fifth card here is the Mattingly. I did really appreciate the fact that the images were swapped over, and I think that really threw people for some loops because we were still expecting at that time cards to be just what they were, and then just a little bit of a change. And that one's where it was like, oh wow, they can do this, and they can make it look good still.
Right. Yeah. No, I love the Dawn, and for the most part across the set, when there are like the dual images, I'm trying my best to flip or play with them, like we saw on the Ted Williams as well.
Yeah. Yeah. Did you go into Mattingly wanting to do that immediately, or did that sort of come to you during the process of making that card?
That was one of the first cards that I was like, I know exactly what I'm going to do with this.
Okay.
Was that card, and it was just because it was nice too that it was so early in the set. I don't know if any other artists have flipped images like that at this point. I can't remember, but I got to be the first person to do that, so that was fun. Yeah. I like that card, and that was like the first card that I knew. All right, I have an idea.
Yeah. Now, when it comes to the cards that have sold so far, when you think of print runs, just in general, I mean, of course, Trout 75,000. And of course we had the bubble. We had the part where no one was really buying the set. Now we're in a different phase now. Has there been a single card so far of the 10 that you've been just shocked at maybe the print run overall?
Not really. I think that the print runs, it's been peaks and valleys, and for the most part, it's kind of predictable. And I mean, you were one of the best guessers of print runs.
Yeah,
which is cool. And so, like, if you look at all the different factors of, and there's also a few factors that people don't pay attention to or maybe understand or think about. But like, obviously, the player that's being painted, the painter, and then the demand for the project of Topps 2020 are probably the top three. And then the other ones being the release day. Monday, Tuesdays tend to be, I think, a lot stronger than the end of the week.
Of course.
And then also the pairing that you get paired with.
Yep.
So like being paired with Ben Ballers is a blessing for sure.
Yes.
Because his print runs are always strong. Or being paired with, a Mike Trout card is also a really good thing.
Yep.
So I don't think that there hasn't really been anything that I was wildly surprised about. When print runs dipped, mine's dipped too.
Yeah.
When print runs were skyrocketing, mine were skyrocketing as well. I mean, It's crazy to think about what ifs because, I talked a big game about wanting to break 100K, and I thought that was going to happen with the Trout. So the Trout was originally slated to be released on Blackout Tuesday.
Yep.
George Floyd, all that stuff happened, which is way more important than sports cards. And I get that. But I can't help but wonder sometimes what would have happened if my Trout card had come out a week before. Because I think that we would have probably crushed 100K.
Yeah.
And then that would be, and then it would be a really hard card to catch. And it's fine. I think that it also then, there's a lot of memes and commentary on the Keith Shore Griffey, which is fine. And, I've seen that Keith kind of embracing that and drawing, hand customizing tiers on the card and stuff, which I think is great.
Yeah.
So, it's fine. If he has to be like the print run punching bag, and my Trout's sitting in the second spot, that's okay too. So, but yeah, I mean, there's nothing that really like has been crazy surprising to me. I'm curious to see what this Griffey ends at. I don't know. I mean, we've been on since 1, so I haven't checked the print runs. They usually don't come out super fast.
Well, they haven't even put out yesterday's print runs from Wednesday. They're even behind on that.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, Jeff Heckman is on vacation till Monday. So that probably has something to do with it. He's, with his family this week. So I'm curious about that. I don't usually know what the print run is until the actual print run comes out.
Okay.
Topps will tell you if you ask. Yeah. So Tony, who's my publicist, is a lot more into like knowing and being up to date. And usually he's like, do you want to know? And I'm just like, no, I don't want to know. But I did ask him on Griffey and got an update yesterday. And it was lower than I had expected it to be.
Okay.
But not in like a drastic sense. I mean, we're kind of in a print run, slump, if you want to call it.
We're in the valley right now. That's just where we are.
The valley, that sounds nicer than a slump.
Yeah, we're not in a slump. We're just in the valley. It's going to come back. It's just that right now.
No, I know. I think that like in the last 50 cards, I think it's going to go crazy. Like, I think we're going to see a pretty strong return, because I think that a lot of people are going to start to realize, oh, I should have done a full set, or,
Yeah.
oh, I should have done a full set of this player, or, oh, I should have done a full set of this artist. So I think there's going to be increased demand for everything else that, card 1 through 350.
Mm-hmm.
I would like to see a resurgence in demand, and, secondary market prices don't really affect me and my art, because
Mm-hmm.
I don't buy cards on the secondary market. Or even sell them on the secondary market. I'm
Yeah.
collecting 2 full sets,
Mm-hmm.
one for me, one for my dad. The artist that I really love and want to support, I'll buy 5 or 10 packs of,
Mm-hmm.
and that's pretty much it. Like, I buy all my Topps cards from Topps.
Yeah.
So, like, the only thing that's really good on the secondary market is, like, right now we're in this valley, so prices reflect that. The only cards I'm buying are my own cards.
Yeah.
So I'm buying up. Anytime I see a Nolan for a good deal, bam. Dawn,
Yeah.
bam. Even yesterday, like, the Mark McGuire card is ridiculously cheap right now.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be one of the iconic cards of the set. So, like, I'm buying those on eBay, and like, every chance I get.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I had that in my notes that you said that you had purchased you purchased all your Dons and your Nolan Ryans. How many do you have?
Oh man. So beyond the set of the 2 like full sets,
Okay.
I have 10 of each card set aside. At the end, I'm going to do offer 10 complete sets, and probably, I don't know if I'll do something special. I might sign them in a unique color, like a purple or a pink or a UV, or do like a splatter painted case and just sell them raw, but in a custom case. So I have 10 set aside for that. And then beyond that, I mean, I think with Don Mattingly's, I only have like 3 or 4.
Okay.
And then Nolan, I probably have like 10. And then everything else, like Jackie's, I probably have 50 to 100 McGuire's, 50 Henderson. So like maybe 50 of each. And then some of the more recent ones, like Trout's, we have a couple 100 extra each.
Yep.
Unfortunately, those are all pretty badly off-centered, because we used all the centered ones that we got for the colored artist autos that I'm doing.
Yep.
Um,
And by the way, great job, because I got mine in the other day. You guys flipped those out very quickly. So, I mean, it was amazing for you guys to get them in. You sign them, design the boxes, and then get them right back out to us. So thank you for that.
Yeah. So fortunately, I mean, I have an amazing team that, when we need to grind, they'll come in and work 14-hour days, like 3 days, 4 days in a row, which is what we did with the Trout. Right now we have the Marianos sitting in the studio, which is awesome. And I'll literally finish signing them today, and they will start, realistically, probably not start shipping till Monday. But I mean, it's pretty awesome to get them in on Thursday and have them signed. And the process takes a long time. We're taking them out of the case, signing the front, wait for that to dry, flip it over, number the back, add a UV code, and record that UV code for like authentication kind of down the road. Then we do a case swap, depending on the case condition. If we don't do a case swap, we clean off all the sticky stuff from the stickers. Then we put them in the new case, seal them with a hologram sticker, put them in a team bag, put them in the custom painted box, pair that with the correct COA, pair that with the right order number that like ordered that card and that color and that number. Like it's a lot of fulfillment kind of logistics.
Yep.
And then that's also like, when I get 1,000 cards in the mail from Topps, or hundreds of cards or whatever it is, like even just opening the bubble wrap and opening the boxes, that's like,
those are the worst.
It's a multi-hour day. We spent, I think me and Andy and Matt spent like 4 hours straight, all 3 of us opening the entire time. Like that's a lot of labor hours. And I'm paying, for me, I eat what I kill, but like those guys are paid. And so like, I have to literally like pay people to open bubble wrap. It's like, crazy.
Yeah, when I get 60 in from 4 cards, I'm like, I have to open up all 60. It's so boring of a process because it's so monotonous. There's no easy way to. I appreciate the way they're shipping them, but it's also just a nightmare to open all of them. And then when you have 1,000, I mean, forget it. And then like I took 1 card out of a case. I took a Vitas Ryan out of the case. And that 1 card was just a pain. I can't imagine opening up 1,000 seals on those cards on top of opening them. So
it's a process.
Yeah, it was definitely a process. Now, if people want to pick up your autographed Mariano, I know you said you've had them on the website to purchase in the future and just to have them available. Where can someone go to buy your signed autograph, your signed Project 2020 card?
Sure. So proathleteportraits.com is the primary website for that right now. I'm I'm pretty excited. My dad is a computer programmer and
Cool.
web designer. So he's actually building a new website for me, which eventually will be blake.art. And that's where everything is going to live.
Okay.
But for right now, it's proathleteportraits.com. And that's where all of the previous, so there are some Trouts left, not a ton of Trouts left, and then a good amount of Marianos left. And the next autograph I'll release will be Willie Mays, and that one will be released on blake.art. It's going to be the first release on a new site, and we're going to do kind of a stress test because, like, anytime I release an auto, we get slammed with traffic, and we've got this new site we're building, and we're going to test it out with the Willie autos. Exactly.
Now, are you now with Topps improving their shipping? Are you selling your autos right before they show up at your studio, or are you selling them early, months in advance? Not months, maybe a month in advance after the card.
So in the past, we were doing pre-sales. With some of the early cards, as soon as the sale ended on Topps, the next day or next week, I'd be doing the auto sales. With the shipping lag, Trout specifically, where it didn't show up until 2 months after it went on the site, we ended up having, some returns, some refund requests, some chargebacks, which, I can't blame people for being impatient. They spend hundreds of dollars or in some cases thousands of dollars and don't see anything for months. So because of that, we have kind of shifted the process. So I now will not release a new autograph until the previous autograph has been actually signed and shipped out the door. And so we have these Mo cards, which we are signing now. I'll finish signing them today. They'll be shipped out on Monday. So Tuesday is my plan to release the Willies. And if Topps keeps chugging away the way that they are, we actually should probably get Willies end of next week or early the following week, which would be amazing for them to be like catching up and really getting back on track.
Yeah, it's great to see notices coming across every single day now almost. For a while there, I would go a week with no notice. Now I'm getting 5, 6 a day, or 5, 6 a week, which is great.
Totally.
Now, when it comes to, you sell color autographs, which is the pen is a different color. There are people out there that have black autographs of yours. Are you still able to send in cards to you to get signed with the black Sharpie?
Yeah. As far as I know, I'm the only artist that's doing free black autos through the mail for everything, for all my entire set. And that's another thing, like we talked about at the beginning, of kind of getting out there and, being the face of it or whatever you want to call it. That's a decision that I made very early on. And again, like my expectations were my print runs would be 200 to 2,000. So I wasn't, when I committed to that, I was thinking, okay, a couple people are going to send me cards, and it's a lot more than a couple, but it's awesome because those are, meaningful cards to them, and it's going to encourage them to like tell their kids or show their friends, because it's special. And I think that like there's been some pushback from the hobby as far as like artists and what they're charging for the autos. And, I get it. I think that, us artists want to capitalize on the opportunity that we have right now. We're kind of got this lightning in a bottle with Topps Project 2020. And for a lot of us artists, this is like a life-changing project, and definitely a career-altering rocket ship that we're on. And so, I respect all the artists if they want to, milking it might be the wrong term, but like in essence, like maximize what you can get from it, right? And sell your autos. And so part of the reason with that, like, is part of my justification for like charging, in some cases, a really lot of money for an autographed and numbered card is, well, I'll do free autos for anyone. And so like, you don't have to pay into like, my whatever. You don't have to pay me to get the autograph.
Exactly.
You have it for free. It's just a black one. And so like, I think that's a good balance where like people can get both. And if people want to complain and say, oh, the artists are charging too much money for autos, like, okay, well, send me your card. I'll sign it for free. Like, what's the big deal? It's also crazy to me how many people, like, I feel like I've been pretty clear about the only thing I expect from you is like, I'll sign 2 cards of any player for you, up to 2, and then 3 of Trout because Trout was a big print run. And I ask that you send a self-addressed stamped envelope,
that makes sense.
or a return label. That's all. Just pay for the shipping. Make sure it's insured and tracked, so that I don't want to lose it or anything. And I mean, I get so much mail where it's like they'll send me like 5 or 10 cards of a single player with no return envelope or no return postage, and just a little note that says like, thanks so much for signing it. And I'm like, dude, like, I'm not asking much. Like, what to me to ship 10 cards back costs like $10-15.
Yeah, that's
And if
definitely
you do
priority
it
right
right, like well
there. Yeah.
protected. So it's just, it adds up. Like we've spent hundreds, maybe thousands of dollars returning free autos to people. And so that's, if any listeners want to send in cards, that's the only thing I ask is just cover the shipping and
Yeah,
we're good.
that makes sense.
No.
Now, when you think of, on the autographs, when you sign them and send them back, are you tracking how many you signed along with how many you sold on your website?
Yes. So, well, it's not tracked publicly on the website now.
Not, yeah, yeah. I mean, like what you sell on your website, not you putting it out there.
Yes, exactly. So I can look and I'll pull this up right now. So I have done, so far for Mike Trout, I've signed 23 black autos. For Mark McGuire, I've signed 148. For Ricky Henderson, I've signed 26. For Jackie Robinson, I don't know what this number is, 199. 40.
Okay.
Don Mattingly is like 20, what's that, 22? And Nolan Ryan is 61. So
Oh, well, okay.
it's cool because then we have like, I have a record of like how many unsigned cards are still in circulation. So we can just take like, and when I do my colored autos, I sign everything, whether or not it's sold or not yet. Like the Mariano Reds, that's an edition of 500, the biggest edition I've ever done in a numbered signed set so far.
Okay.
And we have like half of them left, but they're all signed and like sitting aside. So like, so in that sense, like I know, okay, 500 have been pulled out of circulation plus this many that I've signed in black plus the other colors. Like I always in my head, I can figure out how many are left. And like with some of the cards, like, Don Mattingly was that was my lowest print run. Nolan Ryan was pretty low. Like it's going to impact like, the accessibility of those cards.
Of course.
If somebody wants an unsigned one.
Yeah, especially in the future too. I mean, I'm long on the set overall. I think, what we're going with right now is just a small piece of the puzzle. In 2021, 2022, I think it's really good to understand what we have here in a sense and what this set really means for Topps altogether. I know, those back pages, you had him on recently, and everyone should watch his videos all the time, and he talks about this being the second most important set that Topps has ever done.
Yep.
So, but yeah, and then getting back on autographs, I've said to everyone on my show, look, the artists deserve to charge however much they want, and it's also a balancing act. They've got to figure out where is their demand, where can they sell the autographs for, because they want to make some money and they deserve to make the money. But as we go through the set, they're going to figure out, well, maybe I can't sell this at 150 now, it's 100 or 300. So, give everyone some time to figure this all out. By the time we get to card, 14 or 15, they're going to know with their internal metrics what autograph to sell at what price based on the allocation.
Yeah, I mean, but part of that too is similar to the print run like metrics, where like you look at the timing and the market for the project as a whole. So, and Trout is the best example because we did, pre-sales with that one, and we priced it high, very high, because the market was high, and
it was high, yeah.
What we thought we could get. We didn't sell those out. Whereas every autograph leading up to Trout had completely sold out. That's also when the project was, the rocket ship. And then did the Trout, priced it high, didn't sell out, which is fine. I'm okay not selling out because eventually it'll sell.
Yes.
I don't mind sitting on some cards for inventory. I don't want to go back and like lower prices of existing cards, because if I did that, I would only do it if I was going to go and partial refund everyone that had paid full price. So like, just morally, like I wouldn't do it any other way. And that just sounds like a big task. So like, I'm fine with those cards sitting on my site being expensive. And then you look at like Mo, much more reasonably priced, but then like a much higher volume that was intentional so that I could have some cards sitting on my website that like people, if they discover me this month or next month and had never seen my art and they're like, oh, I really want a numbered auto, there's like a $99 price point for them to get in for that.
Yeah, and that makes sense because look, it's only August. I mean, it's not even October yet, November. People are still coming in. I think our heaviest buyers maybe not even be in the set yet because they haven't discovered the set yet. So it's going to be, there's a lot of time. And the set's 8 months, 9 months long. So, I mean, there's no way to show that, well, this 1 month means the set is alive or dead. It's a whole big process in a sense.
Totally.
Yeah. Now getting back to sort of the last four cards in a sense, maybe my top four for you so
Okay.
far.
Yep.
Number four is the Ricky, and I just really, really like the Ricky. And it's funny for me because there were a lot of Ricky cards out there I liked. Like the Gregory Siff recent one is fantastic. I really like yours. And as a Mariners fan, it makes me question my fanhood. But there were a lot of great Ricky cards out there. And I thought this was really well done. I love the green. I just love the card overall. So great job with that one.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that one. I like that one a lot. Yeah. And I think that, like I said, that one was put up to a vote and it was almost a yellow background. The vote was very close, but I think that the green really pops, and it's another one that just looks really good in hand. That's always fun.
And I mean, the yellow, sorry.
I loved JK5's Ricky, which I got recently.
Yes.
Which is really cool.
His artwork that's an artist, another one that I didn't really appreciate until I got it in hand and saw how detailed the card was. And then I started going back to pick up his other cards just because they're so neat. It's lost on the screen as far as from Topps.com because you just can't see how much work goes into his artwork. And then his videos, when his cards come out, I think are phenomenal. I think I watched his Jeter video probably 20 times. I think it was such a cool video to watch his thought process, on that card in a sense.
Right. Yeah, he's amazing. Very talented.
Yeah. And then number 3 for me on your list is Nolan Ryan. Obviously, I think it's orange. I'm a huge orange fan, of course, but I just think the Ryan is the for me in the top 3 right now for your set.
Yeah, I like that one a lot too. And like I said, I had done a different version that was I would consider safer, and saw Ermsy Trout and told Topps I was going back to the drawing board and not to publish that first one. So it's cool.
And then for me, on my list, number 2 is going to be Mark McGwire. I think the background is phenomenal. The card overall is phenomenal. I know you paid homage to the 85 card, and I think that's a topic that'll never die in the hobby as far as what's his rookie card, and it is what it is with McGwire. But I thought that was a really cool card, and I'm not a big modern collector myself. I only collect really Mariners, Independence Day parallels, and flagships. So I really only collect really red, white, and blue cards in a sense, other than my pre-war cards. Yeah, but that was a great addition overall. And it only got beat because the Ted was yellow, but for the most part, the McGwire for me was number 2. So
it's awesome. Thanks, man. Yeah, that card means so much to me, and I love it.
And I know you got to talk to McGwire after the card released, right?
Yep.
Are you still in communication with him? Do you still talk to him, or is that just sort of a one-off thing with the card release?
Yeah, no, we've talked just a little bit. With baseball starting up again, and he's working with Padres is keeping him very busy. So I am actually doing, and this is the first time I've said this on air, but I'm doing some dual autos with him, which are going to be
perfect.
Cool. So
I was just going to ask that because there's more of them coming out now with dual autos and things like that. So that's great to see. So those will be on your website, I guess, I presume.
They will be eventually. I just sent them off yesterday.
Cool.
And I believe they're getting signed on Thursday. So in the next, probably in like early September.
Okay. Well, thank you for dropping the news here. I appreciate it. So.
Of course.
Yeah. And then, of course, number 1, obviously, there's only one card left. It's obviously for me to Ted Williams. And I know that yellow for you is, I was watching one of your older videos recently, your yellow moleskin notebook. Does yellow mean a lot to you personally?
I love yellow. But also, it's just like picking my favorite cards. I can't really pick my favorite colors. Honestly, like yellow and pink, I think if I had to pick favorite colors are there. Yellow is just so I don't know, so in your face.
It is. Yeah.
And I think it popped on that card. That's also the first time that I had a card where, so I'll usually take elements from the original card, usually all of them, and put them back onto my card. There are some exceptions to that, but there was the little sock character in the top left of the original card. And at first I was thinking about putting that in kind of the yellow dead space that's below his name and the signature. And then I realized that it kind of just looked out of place and it didn't really fit with the card. And then I realized that yellow spot's also a great place to sign. So the first time that I kind of had a place that I would sign my own card in mind before I submitted the card to Topps. Everything else, I submit the card and then it happens every single time. I get the cards in person and then I'm like, oh crap. Where's the best place to sign this thing? And so, I'm trying to do kind of the middle, lower center on most cards, but there's some that doesn't make sense. So Like the Willie card that I'm signing next, I'm going to sign kind of in the upper left where it's got some space. But like the Ted card is fun to me because I can visualize like exactly how it's going to look with the autograph. I think it's going to be fun, and it has his printed autograph above that, so like it's almost like a dual auto. Which is cool.
No, it's great, and I thought it was a great card overall. I think people were talking. Maybe you mentioned it on a stream, whatever it was, but I think the rumor was, or that you had left a blank spot for your autograph, and maybe it wasn't confirmed, or maybe it was confirmed. But it made a lot of sense when you look at the card that that's where the autograph would go. Because when you look at a Topps card, they usually white out part of the section, or they have a section for the autograph. So it only makes sense on that card overall.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't like I didn't go into the card saying I'm going to make something where I have a spot to sign. But when I was designing it, as I got to the kind of end phases and was thinking if it needed anything else, that was in my mind of like, this is going to be a really cool spot to sign.
Perfect. Now, as we go through the back half of the set, you think of current times, is there anything that you would like the fans to know as far as other things that you're working on? I know you just recently released, or you showed the Honus Wagner with the sweet capper out front, which is now the back, and so things like that. So
that card was super fun, and I'm really happy with the direction. I look at that piece as like almost like a concept piece where I'm actually going to do another Honus, same size canvas. Mostly the same, but now that like when I finish a piece of art, I can look at it and say, okay, I see where I can improve it. That's something that I don't usually do in my art practice. I finish something, I move on. I don't like do iterations of the same works. So it was actually fun because that Honus that I'm at now was this. I painted one, and then I looked at it, and then I decided I could make it better. So I actually painted another one on top of it. But I wish that I had kept that first one and then made a second one and now got a third. And so that's fun. And so with that, I'm trying to think of ways that I can continue to work in the baseball space, but not deal with issues of licensing or kind of stepping on Topps' toes, because that relationship's super important. And so looking at like public domain images, the T206 set now being included in that, which is awesome, as well as the Babe Ruth that I did with FDOT the other day. So I'm planning to do like a whole kind of series of these baseball icons that are public domain, so I don't have to worry about licensing stuff. I still can't put team logos, so I couldn't put like the S on there, or I couldn't put the Yankees thing, but I will work around that. And I would like to make that like a series of prints that people could buy at very accessible prices. So like the FDOT print, it's a print on canvas starting at $60. Which, I know it's more than a $20 card, but it's also a lot bigger than a card. So I think that like, that'll be the next thing that I'm working on outside of the Topps Project 2020. And then beyond that, I do have a decent wait list for commissioned work. Through this project, I've, got a lot of collectors now that say, oh, I really wish I had a Hank Aaron painting. Can you make me one? And so, I did a Hank Aaron pretty recently. So those kind of three things. Topps Project 2020 is definitely my priority because I got to take advantage of this amazing opportunity while I have it. Commissions, probably second priority, just because they've been waiting for a long time, and I'm trying to work through, a couple of them a week. And then as like the passion project or the fun thing will be the vintage baseball legends turned into a set, a set of prints that someone could buy. And like, ideally I'd get on some type of schedule where like once a week or once every 2 weeks, I'm dropping another one, and
makes sense.
They all kind of match. So like I could get people excited to come back and kind of create like what Topps has created with, their limited drops, doing something like that, except I wouldn't cut off sales for the prints. I just put them up and then just keep adding to it. So someone could come in later and be like, oh, I want to buy the whole set.
Now, are you able to talk about what your next card is with Project 2020? Who's next up for you?
Doc Gooden is next, and then Sandy Koufax.
Gotcha. Okay. And then when you think of
on the 1st
on the September.
Yes.
Do you know if they're dropping cards next Monday?
I would assume so.
Or whatever Labor Day is.
They haven't told me otherwise. I honestly, I don't know. I would think that they will, but
well, Jeff's on vacation, so we're not getting any news right now, right? So
correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
And then I think the last question I have here is a lot of collectors of Project 2020 have really gravitated to companion cards of the artist. They're different kind of works. Have you thought about doing something post-release or in the future when it comes to a companion card?
Yeah, and I put a lot of thought in the companion cards. I think that they are it's a fascinating concept. It's a great revenue stream for artists. I love seeing what these guys are doing. You know, King Saladin with the Money Bear.
Yeah.
You know who's been really cool is Andrew Thiele's. You know, he had the Sandlot one. He had the Father's Day card. I've gotten a couple of those. I have the Mike Trout by Naturel up there.
That one's really cool.
Just super cool.
Yeah.
So that's fascinating. I think that you know, with some parts of the project, autos, for example, Tyson Beck and I started them basically at the same time, and it's funny because he thinks I told him about it, and I think he told me about it. So who knows? But like, we were on the cutting edge of that, and now like you see all the artists following suit and doing autos, which is fantastic. A lot of them, I tried to encourage as many as I could to be like, yo, there's a lot of money out here for you if you want it, and the fans will like it. So I liked being out of the front of that kind of movement. But the companions, I actually kind of like sitting back and watching what other people are doing, because, you know, then I can figure out, you know, there's all kinds of different things. Like JK5 did one that came with this box. Did you hear about the?
Oh yeah, the box controversy.
Like the box thing. I think it's silly that people are making a big deal about it.
I think it's outrageous.
It is.
The level of hatred towards the box, I thought, was just out of bounds, because it's literally a box and it's the card I want, not the box. But that's my personal opinion.
No, I get it. I get it. So, but it's interesting to me just to like see how the fans react, and then see how the artists pivot, and see how this. So like, I am thinking I will do a companion card series.
Okay.
And if I do it, my plan is to do all 20 and release them all at once after the 400th card, and only sell it as a set.
That's interesting. Okay.
And so, because I think it'll be, I mean, there's like a lot of kind of brand strategy for me, at least. You know, you could always trade some. It's like you could buy a set and then you could sell off the ones you don't want, which is fine. Right. I imagine that'll happen. But I'm thinking we get to the end of the set, it's going to help fill the void of like not having stuff, right? Of baseball related stuff or Topps 2020 stuff. And if you are just collecting, you know, Griffeys and Jeters or whatever, and you really want those and you want the companion cards, you're going to buy the whole set. The set also, like, if you look at the pricing, will be extremely, extremely affordable. It'll be so much that, like, you know, a lot of these guys are selling companion cards, let's just say for like $100, right?
Expensive, yeah.
$100, which, yeah, I mean, it's a lot for one card. I'll do something where it's like the whole set of 20 for like $250.
Okay.
So it'll be like a lot cheaper. You know, it'll be probably the price equivalent of buying like 2 companions from someone else, but you're going to get all 20. And so, like, if you're collecting those, you know, just those 2 players or whoever, you buy the whole set, you put those next to yours, and you're like, oh man, these do look really cool. Now I want to go get more of Blake's cards so that I can pair it with more of these. I think it's going to help drive demand of the secondary market of my, you know, my other Topps 2020 cards.
Yeah.
And then it also create like a marketplace. So, you know, if you have to buy a full set and somebody buys a full set and then somebody else is like, oh, I really want that Griffey, they can sell it and make part of their money back, or they can trade it. Like, I think that's a lot of fun too.
Yeah. I think that the biggest challenge that we have right now is, when companion cards first started, was every artist has a different website. They have logins, they got codes, and figuring out where it all is. And if you miss a day, then you miss this companion card. And so I like the idea of having them all at once, because then it's a one-shot thing, one price, and it's going to come to your house in one package.
Yep. Yeah. And I will do like, I'll probably do like a print run of 1,000 maybe.
Okay.
You know, so it'll be like, it'll be accessible. You know, it won't sell out instantly, but it will be like limited.
Yeah, that makes sense. And the price point, that's a really good price point, because when you think of these companion cards, $100 a pop, then you go 20, it's $2,000. And you compare that to a 20 card run of Project 2020, you're like, well, that's way out of whack now. But if you like the artist, I've always said, support them, buy what they want, you know, buy their shirts, buy their prints, do whatever you want to. But yeah, I do like the idea of it being a little bit less expensive, so that way more people can access the companion cards overall.
Totally.
Yeah. Well, Blake, thank you so much for joining us. I greatly appreciate it. Thank you for talking about your top 10 cards and Project 2020. And then best of luck also in the back half of the set going forward.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. Thank you, sir. I appreciate it.
Of course. Stay awesome.
Yeah. Thanks, sir.
Hopefully you enjoyed the video and the interview along with the breaking news that Blake shared with us. Thank you again, Blake, for joining us. And if you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up. And if you want to hear more news and notes from me around Project 2020, check out that playlist on the screen right now.